Welcome to God Wingin' It with Roger Michael Klang. I said God winging it, not me winging it. I mainly use SR Ekut as a source. Let's delve into today's topics, shall we? The Sweden Democrats want to see closer military and civilian cooperation between 10 countries in the Nordic region and around the Baltic Sea, meaning Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Poland, Germany, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and finally, most probable, Iceland. The Sweden Democrats' foreign policy spokesperson, Aron Emilsson, said that the Nordic and Baltic regions can become the world's most integrated region. Well, isn't that dandy? How multi-culti hasn't the Sweden Democrats become? No, just kidding. They are, of course, not a transparent political party, and they are not transparent as individuals either. The statement from Aron Emilsson is just a tool for sweeping the legs from under the left wing parties, making it appear for gullible people as if the Sikkerhetstjänst or SD, Sweden Democrats, is really the height of tolerance. At the same time, it is a punch in the face to the good people in the left wing parties. But Aron is also saying in that same interview by SR Ekut that he has no problems with keeping people from outside of these countries from ever coming to Sweden. What about France? What about Spain? What about Italy? So people from these countries should be regarded as a persona non grata, according to the Sweden Democrats. Be aware of who you are voting for, people. Fracturing Europe is not a good way to move forward. The country of France has sacrificed a great deal for our country's future security. And SD is just about to discard of a great allied and a good friend like France. Unacceptable. The SDers are losers. They are going to run this country into the ground if they get any position in a future government. And why did the Social Democratic leader Magdalena Andersson serve Sikkerhetstjänst's Jimmy Åkesson her own head on a platter by saying that she wanted to debate with Jimmy? Of course, Jimmy was going to take her head and use it as a soccer ball in the debate. It doesn't instill confidence by her acting this way. But Jimmy is tougher than she, and he isn't gentle by any means. Trust me when I'm saying that if the US Democrats win the next presidential election, and with the current extreme right wing course that the bourgeois brown government has taken during these last 4 years, it is going to put Sweden in a very dire strait. When Trump and his followers are contained, and they will be if the US Democrats win the next election, they are going to turn their interest against Sweden with allegations who are all too true, probably, and force us into submission with a lot more nuance and effect than a Donald Trump could ever accomplish. We would lose influence and confidence as never before. There is an old Viking word for it, Ragnarök, meaning that the sky would fall down on them. So, really, the Sweden Democrats are traitors to our country. Traitors. On the US Iran war, US President Donald Trump says he believes the US and Iran are close to an yada yada yada. At the same time, he repeats the threat of new attacks on Iran if they do not do as he wants. There isn't much use to listen to that man. Only threats of new attacks are relevant. Everything else, he says, you can disregard. According to information to several US media, Iran is to respond to the latest US letter of intent to end the war. According to CNN, it is a one-page document with 14 points that is to declare the war over and begin a 30-day negotiation period. Looks like someone really needs the Strait of Hormuz to reopen. But the US attacked Iranian ships, and Iran is threatening new attacks on American targets and ships in the region if more Iranian ships are fired on during the ongoing ceasefire. The warning from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard comes after the US attacked two Iranian ships this week. The US believes the ships were trying to get through the US blockade of Iranian ports. I would add illegal US blockade. President Donald Trump is dismissing Iran's response to this latest US so-called peace proposal. But some experts are skeptical. Former US envoy to the Middle East, Brett McGurk, tells CNN that he believes Iran feels they have the upper hand and that the negotiations are deadlocked. Who started the war? And who broke the ceasefire, Brett McGurk? It seems like 100 years have passed since we had the rule-based system, upheld by the United States. Quote from SR Irkut, published May 9. Quote, oil spreads off Iranian island of Kharg. Oil appears to be spreading into the sea off the Iranian island of Kharg in the Persian Gulf, the New York Times reports, citing satellite images from the scene. On Thursday, the oil was estimated to cover an area of over 50 square kilometers. What caused the suspected oil spill is still unclear. End quote. What? Who did that? Bear dog, Trump! Bear dog! And on our fine negotiation table too. Now it's all corrupt. Trump wrote, I have read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I do not like it. Totally unacceptable, he wrote in a social media post regarding the US peace proposal within quotation marks. Well, duh. Exactly what the Iranians have responded is not known. Trump is not commenting on the content of Iran's response. The Iranian response is said to have been handed over in the form of a letter to the mediating country, Pakistan. And we don't even know what they were supposed to respond to. A one page with 14 points of what exactly? Unconditional surrender? Likely. And on a side note, defense ministers from around 40 countries will meet on Tuesday to discuss military plans to get trade through the Strait of Hormuz running again. Batman's Robin, the British government says in a press release. Britain and France will host the meeting. France at least has got agency. The announcement comes hours after Iran warned the two European countries against sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians saw it coming a mile away. The land of the red, white, and blue Cowards, I mean the US, is apparently going to need to rally all stupid nations in order to muster projecting power at the Persian Gulf. Or not even there, but they are stomping in or around the Bay of Oman. Can I make a qualified guess? The US is about to send an allied nation's warships in front of them, closer to the Strait of Hormuz, while they themselves stay behind in relative safety, for a mission. Well, well, hold on. If Trump can accuse European nations of cowardice because we don't want to get involved in their single handedly started dirty war, then I can accuse the US for being cowards, for not daring to send their warships past the Strait of Hormuz. Can't I? I tell you, the US doesn't have the cards in the Strait of Hormuz. I think the US are in dire straits. Democracy is eroding, and fast. Quote S.R. Eckert. In the United States, the battle over how electoral districts should be drawn is escalating. Both Republicans and Democrats are trying to redraw the electoral maps in several states in a way that benefits their own party, so called gerrymandering. The latest change is being implemented in Tennessee, where the ruling Republicans are changing the boundaries of the only electoral district that usually votes for Democrats, following a landmark decision by the Supreme Court. The new electoral maps could be decisive for the elections to Congress this fall, with 6 months left until the midterm elections. The Republicans have an advantage in the fight for the new electoral maps. End quote. There are rising corporate profits, and still there is a cost crisis for the common man. Two parallel realities. The American economy is expected to grow twice as fast as the European economy this year. American corporations are also making much more money. But as an American economist said, you cannot eat GDP. At the same time, a new Gallup survey shows that more than half of Americans feel that they have become worse off. This is the highest level since the surveys began 25 years ago. The bourgeois American elite is going to go under the guillotine, is my conclusion. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. The second American Revolution is coming. There are already movies on the theme. And that's my 2 cents for today. Roger and out.